On 3, 7, 12, 3.
You're watching MMAnytt. Skål!
John clearly forgot the most important part.
I have not had enough pre-Skål to be ready for Skål, apparently. That's the thing.
We actually have to ante up since we're doing a little bit shorter episode.
Right.
None of us have been drinking, so how about like we finish our drink every time someone says picograms.
That's a good idea.
That might be dangerous. Now you just opened it a little too high.
Or at the very least, we take a sizable gulp.
Right, fair enough.
Sure.
So obviously, welcome back to the only MMA preview show you ever needed but didn't know was right there all along on the dirty part of YouTube. I am your host, the homeless Ryan Reynolds, Sebastian Mendel Martinez, in the pimpiest coat I could find.
That's pimpy.
Okay.
It's pimpy. Very Southern California.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Joined here by a man whose heart rate only precedes his reputation, John, yes, that is my real hair, Morgan, and of course, Freddy Krueger's nephew over here, Mr. Asha Tafari.
I honestly don't even know who that is.
Freddy Krueger?
Yeah.
Fucking kids these days.
Wow.
You know,
We're
there's
getting
something.
old, bro. We're getting old.
It's like he doesn't know half the shit that I say. He's like, what's a VHS? That's is that some kind of like hashtag? I'm like, nah, man. When I was your age, we didn't have hashtags. We just had hash.
Yeah, the social media days. I feel like this. I'm 40 years old, man. You know what I mean? Like, I really wish.
You don't look a day over 39.
I appreciate that. If I didn't have to be on Twitter, I really wouldn't be.
I can't stand
Twitter. You
Twitter,
know what I mean? But it's like we have to.
For me, Twitter is like the audience at the press conference yesterday. That's what Twitter is like for me.
You know what's funny is I've started to like heckling audiences. I don't know what it is. Like like in New York. New York's the best, right? Like I'm not always a huge fan of going to New York. It just, the congestion, the cost, all the stuff, you know what I mean? But like their crowds are on point with talking trash. And I will say LA wasn't quite up to New York level, but that press conference, the best part was when John said, like, I didn't knowingly put that in my body or whatever, and somebody yelled, but maybe you snorted it, and John was just kind of like,
yeah. I mean, it was quite irritating, but it adds some energy to it.
That's some atmosphere.
I mean, yeah, that's all day.
It was a little Jerry Springer for me, but I mean, it's fine. I mean. And I did like that also, that explanation of where that picogram.
Yeah, that was great. You're saying it wrong. It's not pictogram, it's picogram. That was great. That was great.
Is it ever?
Oh,
yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Fair play.
See, I tried to wove it in a little bit more subtle, so you already forgot about it. Or that could just be years of, brain and alcohol damage, so. Oh, yeah, so we are in Los Angeles, not Las Vegas, because... Well, there's really no way to make that story short, but I'm sure if you're watching this, chances are you know already. Jones tested positive. There was, I'm not going to say how much because I just opened a new beer. But so the event has been moved. For us, it was fine because we were already chilling here in Los Angeles in preparation. And John was chilling in Las Vegas for preparation, and then had to. I mean, your wife cannot be happy with you.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I mean, fortunately, I have an understanding wife. After she's been with me for 10 years, and so she got
must be pretty understanding.
Yeah, she's got the MMA game down. She understands that things happen. But yeah, it was pretty wild. I mean, not to play the woe is me thing, but it is kind of weird to be like, hey, man, we have family in town. Her family is all in town, and to say like, hey, I know we had plans to kind of hang out on Christmas, but by the way, I've now got to leave town to go cover this event. So it was weird, and I mean, you felt it this week. There was some media that couldn't come because their company couldn't absorb the cost and that sort of thing.
So do they just have a free vacation in Vegas now?
Yeah, basically, probably.
Oh, man. Damn it, Bobby! Why don't you send us to Vegas first?
But yeah, it was a wild week, man, and it was crazy. I mean, even starting with Sunday when the whole thing broke this past Sunday when Dana White had myself and Kevin Iole at the headquarters. I mean, again, woe is me, but that was my day off. Like I was hanging out watching football. You know, I was gonna wrap some presents and get all that stuff ready to go, and then ended up working a 6-hour day and finding out my week was gonna change. So it's been nuts, man. It's really I mean, unless you go back to like UFC 12, when they moved it on a day's notice. Yeah. But that was during the days of legalization. There's like there hasn't
dark
been
days of the UFC.
This is crazy, man. This is crazy. But it sounds like it's a sellout, which is I mean, I think it's pretty incredible. I posted on Twitter, speaking of things that I hate, that hey, look, I think this is pretty incredible. Tickets went on sale on Wednesday, and I'm hearing on Friday this thing is sold out. People were like, well, of course it's sold out. Like, it's LA. There's a big MMA base, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, did Golden Boy MMA sell out? Like, is Bellator going to sell out? Because it's in the same building. So, I don't know. It was weird, the hate that I got. I think it's pretty impressive that they were able to move a card in a week. And yes, I know it upset some fans, but to be able to go into a new market and sell it out in like 2 days, that's pretty impressive.
I don't know. Judging by the roster, I'd say Golden Boy MMA probably sold out a nursing home. Zing! All right. So, Mr. Pizza.
Yes.
Your impressions here in Los Angeles. You're not as much of a seasoned veteran as the two of us. Your English and on-screen charisma leave a lot to be desired. I was gonna say before, but this whole event move could have been worse than Asha's English, but I feel like I've already made that joke so many times. So, your impressions here of Media Day, Jerry Springer audience, the whole move, and I know you love analyzing men's bodies, and you've been talking about body language all day, so let's hear it.
Well, so I think there's I got how to say you see right away, man. The vibe is good. I feel when I was at a presser there was lots of enthusiastic fans there, so I feel the vibe is good. The ones that was positively affected by the switch are obviously happy about it. There's some LA fans now that can attend this event that probably wasn't planning on it, so I think Dana White said 3,000 of the Vegas crowd, so
right.
That means it's like 11,000 from LA, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a whole new group of fans that is obviously happy about this, mm-hmm. And the presser, I think Alexander Gustafsson is showing that he is really confident, and I've been seeing this all along when I've been interviewing in Sweden, like not during fight week, several months.
You're obviously not interviewing him in English, because that would not fly.
No, we sent you one to that. It wasn't much better.
But I agree with that. That's one of the things I've taken away from this week, and starting last week, when obviously Alexander was out in Vegas and we did that media day with him, and I've been around him for a lot of fights. And of course, he's laid back. He's got the chill Swedish vibe or whatever, right? But he's got a little fire about him, a little edge about him.
Sure.
And it's one of those things that, like, if you told somebody that, maybe they'd watch the interview and go like, "What are you talking about?" Because you know what I mean? Because it's not like he's out there just dropping F-bombs and yelling and stuff. He's still pretty laid back and chill. But when you're around a person enough and you can detect those little changes in him, and you can tell, man. I mean, this is personal. This is he is angry, but not overly emotional. I mean, he's focused and he's confident. I think all the things he's saying are true. Is that, like, I know that I can't just overly respect John Jones. I can't go in there and go, "Oh my gosh, that's John Jones on the other side of the cage. I got to figure out and deal with him." I think he's like, I got to go in there and I got to try to bully him. I'm excited for this fight, man. I really am. And Alex's attitude is one of the reasons I'm really excited for it.
And also, this is obviously going to sound biased, but I feel John Jones is a little insecure. I feel there's something to what Alexander Gustafsson is saying, because he was stumbling on his words. However you like, whatever you make of it, he obviously has a lot of drama that is shifting some focus, I would imagine, from the fight. The encounter with the female reporter at the press conference.
Can we talk about that, Isabel?
Isabel,
friend of ours, actually. We had lunch with her today from our Swedish rivals.
I remember seeing her when I'd come over for Swedish events, and she's gone to some other European events, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, perhaps like the wording of her questions perhaps wasn't optimal, but honestly, none of that was unprofessional. None of it was like, I mean, I've heard way worse questions asked by journalists. There's actually a pretty funny MMA on point video about the worst questions asked by MMA reporter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you guys
I
should check
gotta
it
see
out. It's
that.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, she did not deserve to be shut down like that by John Jones and his entourage, like sitting a couple steps behind us. I mean, that was unprofessional as hell.
Yeah, I agree, and that's kind of what I've been saying since. Is I think she could have phrased it a little better, but I mean, I guess I'm assuming English is her second language as well. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So you got to kind of give her some understanding that. I think she could have phrased it a little bit. I had no problem with John Jones saying next question, move on. I had no problem with that. That's your right. I mean, you're sitting up there. You're not forced to answer anything we ask. You know, if you want to say next, like you could literally sit there the whole time and just say next question.
Yeah, no comment, no comment.
You can do that. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. That was fine, but then yes, it went a little too far. And regardless of the phrasing of her question, that doesn't justify his response. That was a pretty unfortunate kind of low moment of the week.
And also like how John Jones was like, we're men here or something, and that was pretty weird as well. It was like
and did you guys see how like Cyborg looked at him like when he's like, come on, we're men, let's have respect, and she's like,
wait a minute.
The only honest criticism I have to give to Isabel is the Cyborg question, because that was pretty weird.
that was weird. But I mean, she was.
I mean, it is what it. Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Yeah,
she was pissed off with the fans.
It reminded me of that moment of like, you know, Trump making fun of like the physically disabled reporter. Or, not that I'm comparing Isabel to physical, but you get what I mean.
Come on, man.
Just awkward, terrible.
I mean, just like don't stop it, like.
Yep.
No, but we do have a bunch of great fights before we get to the main event, which has been 5 years in the making, by the way. And look,
wow.
Asha is putting on his big boy pants.
Well done, sir.
Because he knows what to do if he's gonna hang with, like, I mean, let's face it, we have some of the hardest working livers in the galaxy, so...
If my English is so bad after drink, it's...
That starts to loosen up the English a little bit. Loosen up the English a little bit.
At least it'll be shorter.
My Spanish always gets better after a few cocktails, there's no doubt about it.
You know what? Mine does too.
So
I was at his family gathering every day, and I was like, okay, I'm doing all right. But then once the tequila started flowing,
Good.
I was everyone's best
Got
friend. Why can't I find Chrome? There we go. Also, look at my phone. That's totally broken.
It's been like that for a while, hasn't it?
No, that was another phone.
Oh, good to hear.
You see, it's just as.
What is that? Is that iPhone 4 or no?
I think it's a 5.
Really?
See, this was probably made before you were born. I think.
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
I think so, yeah.
I can't make fun of it. I do have an iPhone 10 now, but I just got it like a month ago, if that, and I had an iPhone 6 until then, so it was like 5 years old. So
Oh yeah. Oh,
I was well
can't
behind
get
the
onto
times.
the internet here.
What are you doing?
Pull up
What
the
are you
card
supposed
for
to
you.
do? I have internet.
Let's reveal behind the scenes that we're shooting on my equipment.
Man, I gotta
We're
say,
using my
Sebastian,
gear.
you're not.
I'm producing this show.
You're. Oh fuck!
Now,
Jag skulle roasta dig.
pulling up the card.
I was going to roast you, but I couldn't phrase it in English. God damn.
But his English didn't provide.
All right, what are you looking for? There's a card right there.
Yeah, we need some Marriott guest, I'm assuming, and then I put in your information. Oh, I don't know.
What do you need internet to? I have internet
probably.
here.
Okay, yeah, bring up the fight card.
I was pulled
Man, I have it in my head.
That's what I was saying.
Okay, bring it. Bring it here so we can spill beer all over your app or your laptop.
Dude, don't make fun of that. This is my. If you'll notice, check this out. It's got a minion on it because this is my wife's computer. Because the week of the Ultimate Fighter finale.
Well, who wears the pants in that family?
Well, the week of the Ultimate Fighter finale, I spilled coffee into the keyboard of my computer.
Oh, really?
That's the last liquid I would ever expect you to spill on your laptop.
Well, that just taught me a lesson. Like, I've never spilled a beer in my laptop, and you know what I mean. As soon as I go non-alcoholic, yeah.
All right, so before we get to the main card and do our little breakdowns of the fights, let's all pick our one undercard fight to keep an eye on. Since he missed his chance at roasting you because of his terrible, terrible, terrible English. So, Asher, you get the first choice.
You know what? I'm actually gonna steal your choice. It's Peter Jan versus Douglas.
But I'm the
Andrade da
conductor
Silva.
of a Peter Jan train. I work there. All right,
So
fine.
Peter Jan
I
is
had a
obviously.
feeling you always conducted a little Peter from time to time.
I mean, Peter Jan is a great prospect. I think I'd imagine we'll all agree he's going to the top 15.
Yeah.
I think he's going to win this fight, and I think it's going to be a competitive fight. He can prove himself to come into
Because
this
he's fighting
top.
a recently desecrated corpse. Did you see
Goddamn,
Douglas
man.
oh my god,
He always
was-
looks bad.
he looked like
always looks bad.
Skeletor's cousin or something.
He looks bad at every way.
He didn't look rehydrated at all
Yeah.
on the ceremonial way.
He looked
was
tired. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like he was on some drugs and just like really feeling it.
Yeah, I mean,
Not that I know anything about that. All right.
that's obviously gonna be a great fight. And you know what? I've been thinking, Conor McGregor, he talks about law of attraction and stuff like that, and I think that's quite interesting. And I was working for myself one day at Adidas booth. So
Working for myself.
It was a store where you buy gloves and shit like that. And I was going around when there wasn't any customers, like shadow boxing.
Right.
And I just, for some reason, I was zooming in at a spinning back fist, like, oh man, I wonder why doesn't so many fighters use the spinning back fist? And the same night, the UFC event, I woke up in the morning and I saw Douglas Silva de Andrade actually knocked his opponent out with a spinning back fist. That blew my mind. Yeah.
There you go.
So I feel me and Douglas, we have some form of
connection there.
yeah.
Well, you're both you. I know what it is. Both you and Douglas Silva de Andrade speak about as good English.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah.
All right, John. What is your undercard fight to keep an eye on?
I'll be honest with you, man. I think this undercard is really good. Deeper than I think most people probably
The
realize.
prelims could easily be a main card.
No question about it. The FS1 prelims for sure. But I will say, I don't see how you don't get a little excited / worried about Ryan Hall versus BJ Penn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see BJ out there get decimated by somebody. I do like the matchmaking here because
Yeah.
you don't think of Ryan Hall as somebody that's going to come out and just outstrike you and knock you out. You know what I mean? So I would love to see these. Honestly, like I was joking earlier, but I would love nothing more for them to just like walk out to the center cage, slap hands, fist bump, and then sit on the ground and just start grappling. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be totally cool with that. Like, dude, that's fine. Like, no strikes. I'd be cool with that. So I'm intrigued by that one because obviously you're curious what kind of BJ Penn you're going to see out there. But the one that got me fired up, and Cyborg had done some interviews on MMA Junkie Radio that I heard, and then we talked to Curtis Milner a little bit this week as well. And so we knew going in that both those guys had kind of been talking trash about each other, and then they got on the stage today for ceremonial weigh-ins. It was one of the most intense face-offs of the day, right? So that Cyborg and Curtis Milner fight, two great strikers, two guys that like to go in and bang. I think that, and now when you see they're kind of up in each other's grill as well, I think that's gonna have fireworks. Those probably, but again, dude, Arlovsky Harris, two super cool, super big dudes that are both in need of a win.
I think
Megan Anderson, Katzengano.
your best friend.
Yeah, exactly. My best friend Andre Arlovsky, and then Walt Harris, who's always been a big MMA Junkie supporter. Megan Anderson, Katzengano. That's a big fight at 145. And of course, Kat got up there and did her thing today. Megan didn't even budge. That was cool to see. As you said, Dan Andrade and Jan should be a great fight. Literally, you go the whole way through it, and it could be great.
Yeah.
Well, since
I took your pick and he took everyone else.
I think everyone, but the one that
I'm watching all of them. Damn it! All 8 prelims are my prelim to watch.
Exactly. No, but I got to go with Megan Anderson, Katzengano as the one non-official undercard pick. I think Megan Anderson is a very underrated fighter. I thought she looked really good against Holly Holm. That was a tough fight for her, and I thought she looked really good in the stand-up. It was only really in the
She just had trouble keeping it there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The more that I think about it, the more that I think, okay, Zingano should probably be able to take it, but then at the same time, Zingano feels a little bit uneven. It seems, and also the way their stare down went tonight just made me feel that Megan seems cool. She seems chill. She's not worried about shit. She got nothing to lose.
So true. Kat wanted to get that intimidation factor.
Yeah.
And Megan did not flinch. Didn't flinch at all.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So I gotta.
She won that stare down for sure.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, Megan.
By just being ice cold. Yeah.
So far it's a 10-9 to Megan Anderson.
Yep.
And I say keep an eye on that one. Both are two of the more violent ladies in the UFC. But they're obviously on the undercard for a reason because we got two even more violent ladies on the top. But yeah, those are. I mean, Nathaniel Wood, a prospect, keep an eye on.
that was
Bevon Lewis, undefeated, taking on Uriah Hall, top 15 ranked. I mean, yeah, honestly, the undercard here could easily be a main card, or at least
that could be a fight night. Easy.
Yeah.
That could be a fight night card. No question about it. That was it right there. I mean, maybe Arlovski and Harris wouldn't be the sexiest headliner of all time, but there's still name value. I mean, Arlovski. I mean, obviously, Arlovski's still a big star, man. Every time he fights, he gets a big pop. Everybody remembers the dude with the fangs. You know what I mean? Like everybody knows Arlovski.
I think you should grow back that old hair.
Oh, the old hair would be nice. That was great. And man, how about the pop that BJ Penn got today? You know, that was great, man. The crowd still responds to BJ Penn. He's still a legend. So, yeah, man, it's this undercard is actually really fun. If people have been sleeping on it, and I understand why they would, I do think this card is worth tuning in early, man.
I really hope BJ Penn somehow picks up a victory here, because it's a shame if I would be seeing BJ Penn for the very first time live in person, and he looked like a shell of himself, and maybe got dominated. So I hope for some kind of miracle here. Yeah.
Well, it's only because I mean, it's like when you were born, like BJ Penn was had already been defeated by Nick Diaz. You know, so he was already on a losing streak when you were born. So it's like,
pretty much.
I don't know how that's gonna happen, but yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of like one of those. I've never seen Anderson Silva win, and I've just accepted that's probably never gonna happen.
But it feels so weird when you know these guys are legends and they have been one of the best in the world, like ever. Now we...
Oh, unprofessionalism.
Nay.
Oh, timer. Okay.
Actually, a very professional.
Well, let me just
professional in some degree.
Yeah,
but it should have been maybe a silent timer.
Yeah, silent timer would have been better. But let me just put it this way: I've seen, I have some favorites, and I've seen Shogun Rua get brutally knocked out. I've seen Mark Hunt.
Man, Seb fanboyed out at that one.
Oh, I just
gotta say, I'm a big fan.
As soon as the camera was off, I was like, I just gotta tell you, I'm a huge fan. I've been watching it. I was like just this far away from jerking him off. But yeah, I saw him get brutally knocked out in the first round. I saw Mark Hunt get locked out in the second round, I believe it was. Nick Diaz didn't win, and Anderson Silva didn't win. I've seen Anderson Silva get knocked out, break his leg, and lose a controversial decision.
But wait, wasn't you at UFC 183, I think it was, with Silva versus Diaz?
Yeah.
So you saw him win, but then they took the victory away.
So I still haven't seen him. I mean,
you saw him win then. But man, how picky can you be?
But it was such a weird fight. It was such a weird fight.
Yeah.
You were having a fight.
That fight,
weird.
That fight did not feel satisfying at the end of it. You know what I mean? It was over. It was just like, what did I just watch?
Fair enough.
Yeah. So while because you guys just brought up Shogun, so I just have to go masturbate because you talked about Shogun.
Shouldn't we switch it up?
So yeah, let's just take a quick pause while I go rub one out, and we'll be right back.
Okay, I'll put this at 25 minutes.
Sounds good.
That sounds very good.
Roll on.
All right, we are back. Slightly more, I'm really feeling it now. Like, I'm gonna throw my phone over there and give us some background music just because I'm kind of feeling the groove. So let me just.
Indeed.
Wait for it. Wait for it. See, when I'm in LA, I'm down for some Pacifico. I always get Mexican beer. I'm down for Mexican food every fucking day because there's no proper Mexican joints in Sweden. You know, if you go to like a Mexican restaurant or a Mexican restaurant in Sweden, you don't get they charge you for every for tortilla chips.
Yeah,
and shit like that.
That's not right.
You're supposed to come in, sit down, and before you have time to order, the waitress has brought you a basket of tortilla chips and some good fucking salsa that isn't bought from ICA.
I'll tell you one of the funniest stories ever, man. At the events in Macau, it's been a long time since the UFC's gone there, but the events in Macau, they were at the Venetian, and there was an Irish pub. There was a cool little Irish pub in the Venetian in Macau that on Thursday nights did Mexican night. So it was Mexican night at an Irish pub in Macau. It was like the most like bastardized version of Mexican food ever. You know what I mean? Like it was funny because like they kind of did everything like sort of right, but it just was not the same at all. It was only the Mexican night at the Irish bar in Macau,
which still isn't really proper China in the same way.
No, it's not. Yeah, definitely not.
China, which was kind of Portuguese for a while.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Everybody used to say it, and then after going to Shanghai and seeing what proper China is like you definitely see like, oh wow, Macau is definitely not China.
Speaking of not China, you're not John. Where's your beer?
I know. I think I accidentally left it over there, so I'll just crack a new one.
That's fine by me. Yeah.
I think I set it down when I was producing your show. Carry on.
He's taking out because obviously I'm too big of a star not to actually produce this shit now. I'm in front. I'm on camera talent only. Obviously, I got.
Man, I feel like you're not bringing your A game today. Actually.
Oh, says a guy who hasn't even gotten off a proper roast for like 40 minutes.
But hey, that's a common usual my English.
Yeah, I don't even.
I think that made sense. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. Can we get subtitles?
Wait, I didn't even realize your roast, I think.
Yeah, only Ash is getting those. So anyway, let's move on to the main card. We have a main card to dissect.
Yeah.
And first off, in my opinion, a very overlooked fight. But it's actually, I mean, in my opinion, some pretty high stakes. Chad Mendes versus Alex Volkanovski. First of all, it's the most cliche fucking thing ever when every single fighter who's called Alexander calls himself a great. You can't have.
But I feel like he pulls it up.
Well,
he pulls it up.
He's actually Macedonian and stuff like that. Yeah. So I guess you can't. But it's like Alexander Hernandez. Sorry, but you're not Alexander the Great Hernandez.
Right.
Like, nah, sorry, dude. Tough. Honestly, this is a tough fight for me.
I really honestly love this fight. It's funny because you remember Volkanovski asked for Chad Mendes, and I remember saying, "Well, that's not going to happen," and then it did. You know, and at first I was like, well, "That's a bit bizarre," but I'm glad it did. I mean, Volkanovski undefeated in the UFC. He's got this insane winning streak. He's definitely talented, and he's got personality as well. You know, I was bummed he didn't wear his custom suit to media day. He usually like rocks the suit and the bow tie, but he's got a lot of personality. He's got a lot of skill, and then you got Chad Mendes, the dude that's been there, that's done that, that's been around, and you're right, it's a tough fight to call, but as you said, I don't think a lot of people are talking about this fight, and understandably, I mean, pretty much everybody's only talking about John Jones at this point, but
John Jones and his picograms, finish your day.
This could literally be an opportunity for Volkanovski to get a number one contender fight. Like, if you think about it, I mean, if you think about, basically, if you look at, you know, I look at like the MMA Junkie rankings more than I actually look at the UFC.com rankings, but, you know, at featherweight, now when you know what's happening with Max Holloway, you know, maybe Frankie Edgar's next. I know Frankie wants that. I know Ali Abdelaziz is pushing for that. Maybe Moicano is next, you know. But, I mean, basically, like, that's it in front of Volkanovski. I mean, that's it. So if he wins this fight, you know, he's either going to face Moicano, Edgar, you know, or be, you know, in a number one contender fight. I don't think he's going to get a title fight, but it'll be a number one contender fight.
You are discounting the fact that Artem Lobov called out Renato Moicano to Prague.
Don't you talk bad about Artem Lobov. I love me some Artem Lobov. I love
You're talking about Renato Moicano like he doesn't already have his days numbered.
I love the GOAT, man. I love the GOAT.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Renato Moicano won't exist after UFC Prague because Artem Lobov would have laid the Russian hammer inside of him.
That's funny, man. It's
whichever way that hammer goes in.
Moicano can't get the next title shot. I mean, he didn't make weight, so
it's true.
How can you put in a? I mean, you can do it with Joe Romero, but that
you know what, man? That's a great point. I hadn't thought about that. That's actually a pretty great point. The thing is, though, like, I feel like that situation that they put guys in as a backup fighter is literally the worst situation you can put somebody in. Where it's like, I mean, we heard like Kamaru Usman the other day say like, hell, I'd never do that again. You know, it's such a weird situation. Like, hey, we kind of want you to be ready for a world title fight, or you might not fight at all. And I guess, you know, Alex Davis is Renato Moicano's manager. He's a good friend, and
I saw that or listened to that MMA Roadshow by the way.
Interesting, right? When, you know, and he said, you know, he said behind the scenes, like, because if you remember, Moicano was still in the sauna when both Ortega and Holloway had already made weight.
Right.
And he said that, like, basically at that point, like, Moicano's like, fuck this. You know what I mean? Like,
that makes
what am I
sense,
like?
yeah.
There's nothing for me to even step into. Like, of course, something weird could happen on
Yeah.
Friday night or Saturday morning. But they said like kind of at that point, like his motivation just went, and I get that.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I don't hate what you're saying. It is kind of true.
Right.
Like, dude, you didn't make weight, so now you don't get the title fight. So you're right. Maybe
I
he has to
kind of
fight
hate
one
what you're
more.
saying.
But I do think that's such a hard position they put guys. Financially, I understand why they do it. Like, it's smart. It's good business. But holy shit.
But I mean, I felt. That's right. I felt like Moicano. He got the opportunity there to show him as a #1 contender because he's not that kind of name that is.
I was in so much suspense there.
Okay.
It was
Moicano is not the kind of name that is going to just slide into a title shot. He's not that marketable.
Agreed.
So
yeah.
he had the opportunity there to show like I'm the next guy. I'm here like a backup, right? And he didn't capitalize on that opportunity. So I
Yeah.
felt like he lost his shot there. Frankie Edgar, that makes sense. That you can market that, but it's not gonna be that huge. There's no hype there. Frankie Edgar, he lost the opportunity when he lost to Brian Ortega.
Right.
I feel like he's still this legend. He can slide into a title shot, but it's the hype that was for Holloway Edgar.
Swanson, so he is coming off a win.
Yeah, but I mean, the Cub Swans, that was a weird matchup, anyways, and I mean, that's
a
not the
great
kind
fight
of
either.
right. So I mean, I think actually, like, if Volkanovski is going to do something really spectacular here, or maybe Chad Mendes is going to do some spectacular finish against him, maybe one of those
It's a big
guys can
opportunity.
actually.
It's a big opportunity.
Yeah. Yo.
Andy Austin in the house over there.
Acknowledge your presence in the room.
There's PBRs in the fridge. There's some Pacificos right here, though. They're tucked kind of in the back.
John is hiding them from his alcoholism.
But I mean, that's one of those fights. Like, none of these guys are just gonna, based on a win, get a title shot, right? But they could leapfrog the other guys by being extremely spectacular.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering is, can Alex Volkanovski come at Chan Mendes with the same force that USADA did?
Wow.
Rubbing lotion.
How many pictograms did Chad Mendes?
So you can follow me at Pictogram on Don Jones okay. So anyways, so let's make our pick. And Chad Mendes, Alex Volkanovski. Honestly, I think odds makers should have this pretty split because
it's like a piggin fight.
and it's weird to say against a two-time title challenger or three-time title challenger like Chad Mendes.
Listen, I went with Mendes in my official MMA Junkie picks. I'm going to stick with that. I do think he is. I mean, I think people might have forgot because he's been away for so long. But that dude, man, he looked phenomenal. I mean, think about his return. The way he looked in his return from 2 years off, it's like he never skipped a beat. The guy, he takes care of himself. He's not a guy that parties and stuff like that. So I went with Chad Mendes, but I will say, it's such a tough fight to pick. I mean,
it is a party. It isn't a pictogram snorting thing.
Wow. But seeing Volkanovski win would not shock me. I think the guy's the real deal, and I didn't think this fight was going to come together, but now it is. I love it. It's a big opportunity for both these guys.
Volkanovski is one of those guys, like, he hasn't fought the kind of top level guys yet. I mean, Darren Elkins was ranked number 10.
Sort of like on the edge, sort of get you into.
But I mean, some guys, they just rack up win after win, and you see while they're
David
fading.
Tamer. David Tamer.
For sure. Like,
get that guy a top 15 ranked fight.
Right.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah, that's the same situation. Like, they're not fighting ranked guys, but you see right there and then these guys are on that level, and it's just about getting the right opportunity. I feel like Volkanovski has that opportunity now, and I'm actually going to pick Volkanovski to win it.
I feel like I may be able to sway you here because I think this will speak to you. Do you? And you may have heard this is not like a rarely known story. But
are you trying to seduce me, Mr.
Chad Mendes? Do you know his original fighting nickname?
No.
Money Shot. It was Chad Money Shot Mendes, and it was an ode to the fact that he is a wrestler and he had the money shot that he could take people down at any time during sparring. And so he was in his first professional fights. He was Chad Money Shot Mendes.
That's a weird name.
And then when he got to the WEC, they were like, Nah, bro. Nah, bro. That ain't gonna happen. So that's when he became Chad Money Mendes, but it was originally Chad Money Shot Mendes.
I thought about this.
This might be because your English is as bad as John Jones's faithfulness, but like money shot is a porn term.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't
Which is why,
realize
because
that.
I figured you wouldn't understand
I
that.
thought about this.
Terrible English.
I thought about this earlier today, actually. Like, and I can't remember Conor McGregor actually ripping Chad Mendes for the Money nickname. Did he do that, or am I just?
Not
did
that I
miss
can remember.
That's pretty weird. Like that's an
about
opportunity right there.
unprofessionalism.
Like,
Sorry, I didn't realize I had this volume on my computer that we're using for your show. All apologies, sir.
All right. Well, tell you this: I had been swayed actually to pick Chad Mendes in this fight, but not by
wait,
a lot.
because for Money Shot,
Yeah.
that's swayed you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a feeling it would.
All right.
But also, I just feel that
It makes sense somehow if it's Sebbe. Yeah.
yeah, because I'm just completely biased. So I think nobody knows who I'm going to pick for the next fight coming up. So let's see here. We got Corey Anderson versus Malm 040 down south, Ilir Latifi.
Lyftkranen från Rosengård.
Rosengård, Skåne, good.
Sledgehammer.
So anyway, no idea who I'm going to pick there. So I'm going to hand it over to John Morgan.
Listen, I think I might side on the way you guys are leaning. Yeah, I'm going for Ilir Latifi. Listen, Corey Anderson, I think is tough, man. It's hard to look good against Corey Anderson. You know what I mean? He grinds. He's relentless.
Not even Corey Anderson looks good in Corey Anderson fights.
He makes people look ugly. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Jake Shields or something. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to look good. Well, I mean, I'd say Ray Cooper looked pretty good against him, but for the most part, you know, you're not going to look good against Jake Shields. And I think Corey Anderson's tough. This is a tough fight, and obviously the size difference is massive. But Ilir is used to that. I mean, he's used to being the smaller guy. I think Corey is going to be a difficult test, but. I'm leaning towards Ilir.
And I think actually Ilir is smaller than Corey Anderson is actually going to be
he's smaller than me.
Yeah, and that's going to be actually, I think, an advantage in this fight, because in wrestling, usually if you're the shorter guy, it's easier to pick them up, slam them on the ground.
Already got the leverage.
Hence his nickname, Lyftkranen från Rosengård.
Lyftkranen is the crane.
Yeah, it's a crane from Rosengård. So I feel in the wrestling, that's going to be the most how do you say, like competitive area in the fight. Yeah, but striking wise, I feel Ilir is gonna light him up. Like Ilir, he doesn't have the reach or anything, but he throws bombs. Yeah, and I don't see that from Corey Anderson. Even when he fought Glover Teixeira, it wasn't that impressive. It was
it was kind of a sleepy performance.
I felt like it was more
it
Glover.
Was what I call a Prozac fight.
Yeah, Glover was more not in his best form than Corey Anderson was super impressive or anything. So I feel Ilir is coming up this big OSP victory, like it was a year ago, 10 months ago or something like that. And now he's hungry to get back at it. The wrestling is gonna be the tough one, but he's a good wrestler and he's a powerful striker. I think it's going to be a devastating knockout here, actually.
Let me put it this way. Ilir Latifi used to train wrestling at Malmo Tigers in Rosengård, where I've been many times. And that was, for a long time, the premier wrestling club in all of Sweden.
Right.
So Latifi, he comes from, he has some of the best wrestling, in my opinion, in the pure not necessarily MMA wrestling, but like wrestling in the entire division.
Definitely.
And I mean, I don't know. When he connects, I mean, he puts people to sleep faster than Bill Cosby, or I guess Kevin Spacey would be a more topical joke. But I mean, he just.
John is not loving this.
John is
sitting here,
regretting making this decision. But yeah, I mean, the way I see it, pretty much everything that Corey Anderson does well, I feel Latifi just
does better.
A little bit. I mean, except for I guess maybe hairline or reach, but I mean,
and style. I mean, Corey
that shirt he had in Hamburg
that was a great shirt.
That was lit. But yeah, I mean, I'm obviously going with my homeboy from the south, Ilir Latifi.
Definitely.
Get us UFC Malmo. Come on, I've been saying it every Skål, but yeah, I'm not going to go on a rant again. Michael Chiesa, Carlos Condit. Condit coming off of a tough 4-fight skid versus Michael Chiesa, who got defeated, pretty handily, but then again has been clear that lightweight is not his right weight class, and definitely looks and feels and sounds on top of the world since he made his move. Mr. Ash, that Ash though, what you got to say about this fight?
Man, I feel this is a tough one because even though Michael Chiesa looks good, it looks like he feels good and everything.
You're talking about his body now again, or to do that? I've noticed.
I'm talking about his energy. Okay.
Okay.
The energy is putting out. He feels like he's in a great place, but I don't know how he's going to do in welterweight. Carlos Condit can find his old ways, and he's an elite top level fighter, right? He has had a couple of tough fights, and I don't know really. I'm not that confident in my pick, but I think Michael Chiesa is going to pull the victory off, and I think he's going to get his hand raised. But I think it's going to be a tough fight. I think Condit will actually show up in this fight. I think it's going to be back and forth a little bit, but I feel Chiesa is probably going to get a finish on the ground.
I went the same way. I'll be honest with you. I mean, Carlos Condit is a legend, man. I mean, I think he really is, dude. He's one of the most fun fighters. I mean, how many great fights does he put on for us over the years? So he deserves respect. But I mean, he's made it clear that he's considering retirement. He's kind of admitted
Didn't
motivation.
he say that before his last loss?
Yeah, I mean, he's talked about when guys start talking about that and they're not their motivation is not there. Man, it's tough, dude. You got animals on the other side of the cage, And yeah, you guys said it, man. Chiesa. I mean, look at the stare down today, man. It didn't look like they were two guys in two different weight classes. You know what I mean? Like Chiesa just looked like that's right where he should have been.
Chiesa looked like just a little bit like he looked a pictogram bigger. Pictogram.
So man, I thought Chiesa has made the right decision, and he even said it, earlier this week. He's like, listen, of course I need to win to show the world that I made the right decision. He's like, but there's no doubt in my mind. He's like, dude, the way I feel, the way I use and it is so true. Dude, he used to be the worst on fight week, and he's such a nice guy. He's such an energetic, cool dude, and then on fight week, it's like, bro, you're the worst interview ever, because he's like literally dying in front of you. You know what I mean? Dehydrating himself to make 155, and this week it was the total opposite. So I think again, as you said, Condit's dangerous. It's not like you walk in there and go, oh, well, this is a gimme. You know what I mean? Condit's gonna battle you. But yeah, I like Chiesa here as well.
And man, I'm loving this trend of just fighters moving up weight classes, finding success there. We don't know if Chiesa is going to do that and be
probably will. Though.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's the way it feels. Anthony Smith, I don't
Whitaker,
know.
Calvin Gastelum.
Looking back, how many fighters have moved on and we've been like, wow, I've never seen him better?
Yeah, exactly. It's you think
it's like Frank Edgar is that guy, but he was a champion at lightweight.
Still really good at lightweight. Though.
Yeah, we felt like that made sense for him.
That was the only division he could fight in at the time. There was no 145.
Right. Twice. Yeah. That's the only. I mean, honestly, he could probably go up to lightweight now and be a top
definitely. But then we felt like, okay, this makes sense.
I mean, that's
but other than that,
sense-making one.
Right. But other than that, I feel it's just fighters moving up that we're seeing that in.
Yeah. I mean, God, I'm basically in love with Carlos Condit. I mean,
as is Chiesa. He said he was wearing his shirt and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like Michael Chiesa too, but Carlos Condit, I mean, he's like when I first started Thai boxing, the first martial art I ever did, Carlos Condit was one of my inspirations, and it's been really hard to see the negative trend he's been going on. But I mean, at the end of the day, I hate it, but I have to agree with the two of you. I just feel like Chiesa is much sharper on the ground. His chin holds up. I mean, in a pure kickboxing fight, I'd go for Condit, but there's going to be so many variables here that I feel that Chiesa has a strength in, and I don't know. Speaking of Chiesa and terrible interviews, before we go to a co-main event breakdown, what's your worst interview ever? Fun fact. I'll kick off with mine because I remember right away. Danny Castillo, UFC London. What are you smoking?
I'm gonna go for a cigarette, Jim.
Oh, cigarette. Okay. Yeah.
Hey,
we're in California. No one's judging you.
It's legal everywhere.
No, Danny Castillo. He basically got mad at me in my first UFC event I ever worked because he was wearing an obvious stripper suit that you rip off.
Right.
And he got really mad that I called it a stripper suit. And it was my first UFC event I ever worked, and it was so awkward, and I got really embarrassed, and I was like, why is he so mean to me?
Oh, I like Last Call, man. He's a good dude, man.
He's a fine person, but that interview was terrible.
I mean, I guess, interviews, none stands out in particular. I mean, I guess if I'm talking about a moment in time, it would definitely be the press conference with Vitor Belfort, where he was basically told everybody in the room that somebody should kick my ass in Portuguese. Yeah, it was rough, man.
I missed this. Which fight was this?
Oh yeah, it was after he knocked out Luke Rockhold. And
you asked about TRT?
And in the press conference, I asked him, hey, is it frustrating to you at all that the technique that you used in there was spectacular, but all anybody is saying is TRT? Like, do you feel that that's unfair treatment? And
I remember that.
He got frustrated, and he in Portuguese basically cussed me out and said that somebody should beat me up, and so that, I mean, it didn't upset. I mean, it wasn't necessary, but it didn't really upset me. But I guess that would qualify as a pretty bad interview. Granted, it was at a press conference, but I should make it very, very clear. Vitor apologized to me later. We hashed it all out, and there's definitely no beef there whatsoever.
Hashed it out?
Totally, yeah, talked it all out. So all good. But yeah, I guess that was maybe an uncomfortable moment. I mean, it is what it is. I don't care if a fighter yells at me, they yell at me. If they hate me, they hate me. I mean, I'm just trying to do my job. I'm trying to do it the best way I can. I try to be respectful and still ask what needs to be asked and hopefully do it in a respectful way.
Man, I tried to sit here and think while you guys were talking, who was my worst interview, and I actually don't know. I feel like every interview I have, I give it my all. I look them in the eyes, and I try to get a real conversation going, right? And obviously it's easier for me in Swedish. We can all
But disputing that.
Right. But I mean, even though sometimes you don't get that headline that you wish for, but you get an interesting conversation. So at least the guys who are watching the interview, I think they're happy about just watching a cool conversation between two people, and I can't pinpoint someone. I mean, I'm somewhat nervous sometimes, and maybe I fucked up or stumbled on my words or something. Obviously, I have done a few English interviews, and they're obviously the most terrible ones. So I mean, Cris Lieben, I think, was my first English interview that actually never got published, and I mean, that's probably my worst one, but that's not because Cris Lieben was actually great. But yeah, I mean, I feel I can't pinpoint someone like that, no.
All right. Well, fair enough. Well, let's move on, man. Asher failed again. Cris Cyborg versus Amanda Nunez for the women's featherweight title.
Great fight. Great fight.
I've been such a good host. I've been handing it off to you guys. So it's time you guys give me a handoff. Or hand me off. or however you want to put it. So let me put it this way. Amanda Nunez is hands down the toughest test that Cris Cyborg has faced so far, in my opinion. But you're still fighting Cyborg. And you're moving up in weight, and while I would probably, or maybe not probably, but most likely pick Amanda Nunez as a winner in a submission wrestling match, in this MMA fight, I gotta go with Cyborg. It's hard to pick against Cyborg unless she's fighting like God, which is not gonna happen because she's a devout Catholic. So Satan has a bit of a chance, but it's about on the same level as Amanda Nunez. So
I think this is.
I actually had it on silent this time, but
obviously not, Mr. Ash.
I think this is an exciting fight. I really do. I agree that. Listen, this is a tough fight for Cyborg. I mean, normally when Cyborg fights, you just go, well, let's see what is this the first round? And you don't want to be disrespectful of her opponents because it's not that they're not great competitors. It's not that they're not qualified athletes. It's just that Cyborg's on a different level. This is the first time in a long time where I think you're like, this fight is actually kind of intriguing. Like, Amanda has the power. Amanda has the tools that it would take to beat Cyborg. But
do you have the tools it takes to get me in a beer?
I do. But like you said, I just picking against Cyborg to me is just I don't understand how you do it. You know what I mean? Like she's just on a different level. Amanda Nunez has paths to victory. She does. She has the tools. There are ways for her to do this.
Ground and pound, yeah, well, she wins there.
That's it. She's got to get in top position. I don't think she gets it done in the pocket. You know what I mean? I just think that's bad. Like, yes, I think she may land in the pocket, and yes, she has some great striking skills, but I don't think just standing and trading with Cyborg and hoping for the best goes that well. I think she's got to get the fight to the ground. She's got to get top position, and she's got to dominate from there. And I think that is possible, but I don't think it's going to be easy. So I'm leaning towards Cyborg, but I have to say this is the most excited I've been, competitively speaking, for a Cyborg fight in a long time. Because for the longest time, it was basically just like, let's see who Cyborg is going to beat up this weekend. You know
what? I would actually disagree with you that this is the first time we're feeling this excitement somewhat of a Cyborg fight, because I felt Holly Holm could have and she actually did a pretty solid she showed up in that fight, right? And she won 1 or 2 rounds, and it was somewhat competitive, and I felt based on that, I feel like because I obviously rank Amanda Nunez higher than Holly Holm, and I feel like that adds a little bit more excitement to this fight. That you saw how the last one, Yana Kuniskaya, that was a little weird fight. I mean, the last real fight Cyborg had. I mean, but based on Holly Holm's performance against Cyborg, I feel Nunez can probably do some good stuff in the beginning of this fight. I feel it's going to be close in the early rounds, but I feel Cyborg is eventually going to take over and dominate.
And I will say, kind of in the same way we were talking about Chiesa, how much better does Nunez look this week at 145? You know what I mean? Like she has hard weight cuts to 135, and like this week she's been all smiles and feeling good. You know what I mean? Like normally her weight cuts are really bad, and so maybe she'll be one of these people, because Cyborg has a tough weight cut to 145. You know what I mean? So
she looked a little drained.
She did look a little drained at weigh-ins.
That's a weird thing.
And Nunez was like happy and healthy and smiling and just like feeling good. So again, to me that adds more intrigue. But it's like picking against Cyborg is like picking against John Jones, picking against Demetrius Johnson. You know what I mean? Granted, I know Henry Cejudo beat him, but picking against these like all-time greats, where you're just like picking against George St. Pierre or whatever, where you're just like.
You have to have a pretty solid argument if you're going to pick. But I feel it's a great point you're making, actually, because I feel when we're doing these super fights or someone is moving up just because one fight, then we're not taking that into account, that they can be more comfortable in that weight class. We don't know. So and Amanda Nunez has fought in featherweight before, so she is somewhat of a featherweight. I mean, more than the other bantamweights that got brought up, right? So I feel this is as right now in the MMA climate today, this is as competitive as a Cyborg fight gets. I agree. So if she smashes Amanda Nunez, I don't know what she's gonna do. She has to go to Japan and fight some 200 pounds. I don't know.
Gabby Garcia.
Yeah, that's a fight. Everyone. That's a money fight in Japan. Yeah, you have to make that happen.
Before we get to the money shot or money fight, let's take a real quick break, and then we'll break down the main event.
Get snappy. I got dinner plans.
All right, we got dinner plans.
Hold on, let me switch on.
All right, we got dinner plans. Danny, get in there real quick. Give us your pick for, first off, Cyborg Nunez.
Nunez.
Ooh.
Oh, hey,
I don't know if you can see me on the camera. I like Amanda Nunez.
Get down.
Okay.
Well, on your knees.
I don't want to squat. I'm not in very good shape. I like Amanda Nunez, but like that's a fight where I'm more excited for the fight than the result. And honestly, I think I'm going to regret it, but I'm picking Alexander Gustafsson for the main event.
Hey!
There's a confidence and a focus to him.
This is yours now.
Okay. You earned a beer. You earned a leftover beer.
All right. Well, there we go. Keeping it snappy.
Hey, I have to start on this one. I don't care what you say. Alexander Gustafsson is gonna win.
Why is fucking meth face taking?
I have said this from the beginning. It's 5 years in the making. I've interviewed Gustafsson a couple of times ahead of this fight. He's so fucking focused. He's and this means more. This means the world to him. He lost to Jones when he thought he didn't, right? Mm-hmm. And that has bugged him. 5 years, and now he has the opportunity to right that wrong. 5 years in the making. It means so much to him. This is literally the world, and he has children. I mean, yeah, he's gonna win. I feel if this fight goes to the distance once again, I favor John, but I feel Gustafsson actually is gonna connect. And I mean, trust me, I'm a Swedish reporter, but I always try my best to be objective, right? And I look at this fight, like obviously Ilir, I want him to win, but I also think like objectively he has a good, really good chance to win. Right. This is a close fight. I'm gonna admit it for sure. I mean, obviously Gustafsson is an underdog and all that, but I feel John is like there's so much shit around him, taking away energy from this fight, and he's trying his best to keep focused, but it's hard. I mean, imagine if you're in his situation. It's hard. You get all the questions on a press conference about your the picograms in your body.
Picograms. You've abandoned this completely.
You can't say anything to Gustafsson to get his focus away from this fight. He has nothing. Not even the move to LA. It didn't bug them at all. I mean, I didn't get that feeling. Did you guys?
No.
So I feel Gustafsson is as ready mentally, physically, and everything to win this fight. So now we're gonna see if his prime shape is gonna pay off, and I think it will.
It's intriguing.
I just gotta say that's the most impressed and aroused I've ever been by your English level ever. Okay, continue.
See, when I'm passionate about stuff, I can pull it off.
I'm intrigued, man.
Balls deep in that English lesson.
Everything that you said, I buy 100%, man. I really do. I think everything you said is spot on there. I think that obviously both guys improved since they fought the first time around. But all those things that you said about where Alex's mindset is right now, where his focus is, where his determination is, where his hunger is, I think they're all dead set 100% accurate, man. And I've even mentioned it. Like I'm impressed by it, you know.
Right.
But
the big but.
That's what we've all been looking for.
John Jones. You know what I mean? John Jones is John Jones.
Yeah.
And I believe I don't call John Jones the greatest of all time only because I think with all the time that he's missed, he's missed out on opportunities to rack up victories that would add to his resume. I do think he's the greatest talent of all time. Mm-hmm. I think he's the greatest talent to ever step into the cage. And I think if he
did he do it?
That's tough to say, man. I don't believe John. I'll
give you two questions, and you can answer one or both of them.
Right.
Either did Jones do it or did OJ do it?
Nah, you know, I don't believe John Jones is a cheater. I don't. Do I believe that he put something into his system? Absolutely. Do I understand the science behind what they're talking about this week? I will say today, Jeff Nowitzki, I finally heard a really good statement today where he said the reason we don't think it was a new ingestion is because only the long-term metabolites there, the short-term and the mid-term were not. And I was like, okay, that makes sense to me. You're saying it's only this long-term metabolites. So that makes sense to me. I don't think John Jones is a cheater. I do think he put illegal substances in his body, whether it be unknowingly. I don't think he's a guy that has like some, you know, systematic cheating, you know, like Lance Armstrong-esque setup or whatever. So I'm picking John Jones, but I will say this for everybody that's saying, you know, I like Alex. I can't fault you for that, man. Like I think, dude, he seems like he's on. Like it seems like he's ready to make some history. It seems like he's ready to write his fairy tale, and it would not shock me. Right. But it's just, I mean, for.
All right. Well, John, you're.
Say I had to leave for fucking.
John's fight matters. Okay, John is picking. Who's
Wait,
John?
so you're gonna stand?
I picked John Jones.
You're gonna stand there now?
I have to leave. Just say I left.
Okay,
Go.
John picks John Jones because they have the same name and because we're both American and because John Morgan is racist and a misogynist. And he is against snow people.
Snow people.
Yeah, not snowman, snow people. Okay, Mr. Ash.
Wait. Actually, I beg you, Morgan, can't you just join us for one question? I have one question.
Terrible
please,
journalism.
Please.
Go make my dinner date.
Come on, man. Okay. For 5 seconds.
Yeah. Bye.
Man, I was really wondering, like, because
I'll answer it as John Morgan.
as Swedish people, we feel this is a close fight, right? Gustafsson won the last one. He was close to the last one. Jones won, but it was a controversial decision, right?
Yeah.
Lots of people is feeling Gustafsson won that fight in Sweden and internationally. But I was quite shocked actually by the odds makers and MMA Junkie. I think 13 of 15 people picked John in this fight. So I was really looking forward to hearing John, the letdown Morgan's answer of like how the American public is viewing this fight, because I really don't know. And I mean I see online, but I feel you can never judge like a Twitter feed and somewhat like you can't translate that to the real like world, real people, because
I'll tell you right
I mean,
off. John thinks Jones won the first fight 3 rounds to 3 rounds to 2.
Yeah. But how does the American public, the American fans, and I mean,
Most American
not
fans
just the
see
American
Jones as the winner, bro.
No, yeah, in this fight. But I mean, is it close? Is it as close as we are viewing it? Because you know, I feel the whole wide world should view this as a toss-up. If you look at the last fight, you look at the improvements on Gustafsson, you look at the improvements of John Jones, you look at all the hurdles John Jones have gone through, all the distractions from this fight. I mean, shouldn't it be closer in the odds makers and all that? Shouldn't it?
Perhaps. But then at the end of the day, I mean, if you look at the people that Jones has beaten and you look at the people that Gustafsson has beaten and the way they've done it and how convincingly they've done it.
Glover? Gustafsson won much more devastatingly against Glover.
Devastatingly, yes. Convincingly, I don't know.
Yeah. Man, he won the 4th round 10-8. It was a brilliant performance by Gustafsson. John Jones was
obviously hoping and rooting for Alexander Gustafsson.
Okay, but now we have to get to Seve's pick. I feel like we somewhat got you in the back seat here.
I'm just in the back seat.
We have to get you back in the game here. Hey, John Morgan even left before Sebastian did his pick. What is this? Hey, Skål, Sebastian.
Skål. I think that at the end of the day, as much as I want Gustafsson to win, it's 51-49 for Jones. For
really?
Me. But you can tell how close it is. 59.
Okay, but that's just a percent. Who's your winner then? Who's your winner then?
Yeah, for Jones.
So John is winning this fight, according to you.
51%.
If you have to bet your house and all that.
51% of the time, yeah, he's winning it.
No. I'm asking this time.
This time?
You're going to do, because 51-49, that's the easy way out somewhat. I mean, that's somewhat 50-50. Okay, if Jans wins and he's favored, then you get your pick right. But you have
obviously.
to like, it's not about 51-49 or anything like that. This fight, you have to make a certain pick, and you have to be confident about it. If you do some...
Well, here's the problem. I can't be confident about this pick because I'm not confident.
No. But look, like if you take what you have and you make what you have, you make it what it's worth. Okay, everything you have gathered for 5 years and maybe before, who is going to win this fight? Like if you have to try to be as confident as you can be, who is winning this fight? I respect the fact that you're going to go against a fellow Swedish man, but not for. You can't say for 51-49. You have to say this is going to happen. Okay.
I can't, but I mean, gun against my head, I'm still gonna, at the end of the day, bet on Jones here.
And how?
I think he gets a tightly contested decision that will not convince people.
Really? You think
Yeah.
like it's gonna repeat
I
itself?
think it'll be similar to the first, yeah.
But that's a fair pick actually. I didn't think. I thought you were going to go with like some John Jones finish or something.
No, I don't. I think
That makes sense. That
I think
makes
it's a
total
close
sense.
fight, and I think that John Jones wins it in the small margin
Right.
once again. As much as I hate to say it, but I got to go with Jones.
And that's
so.
the thing, because I told you straight away, if it goes to the decision, I favor Jan. So I actually side with you on that one. I just think Gustafsson is gonna connect earlier, and that's okay. So then it makes sense. You're saying
We've never seen
51
Jones
for
rocked. We've never seen Jones knocked down.
right. But we have seen. Listen, here's the thing. We have seen Alexander Gustafsson knock people the fuck out, right? And that's the only thing that counts. Even though you have the most solid shin, whatever, it doesn't mean shit when you get like perfectly punched on the shin. You can have whatever shin you want, but you're gonna get knocked out.
All right, Johnson, come in here real quick.
no,
First finish. I picked John Jones, believe it or not, but yeah, I was just picking Gustafsson, and John Morgan is taking the picogram way out of here. But
Okay, we'll finish.
yeah, so let's round this off. So I don't know. It's super close, but I at the end I do think
kom igen med the Mauler!
And with that, I suppose we round off this, I don't know, 8th, 9th.
Get in the picture when they round this up.
John, sit your ass down while we say bye.
I'm already late.
Yeah, but
I leave once
say
you sit
goodbye.
your ass down.
Come
All you gotta do is sit down.
say,
Already late.
hey, come say goodbye. You don't.
Turn it off right here.
Say
I'll
goodbye.
turn it off right now.
Hey, you don't even have to sit down. You can just.
Bye.
Okay, there you go. Okay, fair enough.
Bye, everyone.